Let's check up. Let's check up. Pull up a chair for the Midweek Checkup now.
Welcome to the Midweek Checkup. My name is Lindsey Blair, and I'm joined by Gilles. This past Sunday, Pastor Sam Huff continued our series, Matchless, the Wonder of God's Word.
Pastor Sam taught from Hebrews 2, verses 5 through 10. He said that humanity needs a hero. And for anyone who missed the sermon or needs help remembering, let's do the weekly recap.
Pastor Sam began by saying that through Jesus' humanity, he has conquered suffering and death so that we might see what we cannot see. We are able to see our true hero. The preacher of Hebrews invites us into this reality of the gospel by calling us to confess that our eyes don't see. He quotes Psalm 8, which is referencing Jesus. It says, "You have crowned him with glory and honor, putting everything in subjection under his feet." Then he follows this by saying, "Now in putting everything in subjection to him, he left nothing outside his control."
The preacher wants us to see that the world is ruled by Jesus and under his control, but it doesn't look that way to our natural eyes. And this is why the preacher of Hebrews opens this chapter with these words, "Therefore we must pay closer attention to what we have heard." The imperative is that we stay anchored in not what our eyes see, but in the message that we've heard. The message that Jesus is on his throne, ruling and reigning. The message that our humanity needed a rescuer, that we needed a hero. And Jesus is that rescuer, that hero.
We must then move from confessing that our eyes do not see and hear the call to clinging what our faith does see. Verse 9 says, "But we see him who for a little while was made lower than the angels, namely Jesus, crowned with glory and honor because of the suffering of death, so that by the grace of God he might taste death for everyone." Jesus is crowned with glory and honor because of the suffering and death. The eyes of our faith must first see Jesus coming into our world, but also what he did while he was here. He suffered and he died.
The preacher is really going after our senses here. In verse 1, he states that we need to remember what we've heard. In verses 8 and 9, he talks about what we see and don't see. And now at the end of verse 9, he talks about taste. But it's not what we taste, it's what Jesus tasted. Because of God's love for you, he tasted death for you. And in doing so, God made the founder of our salvation perfect through suffering.
The Greek word translated as founder had a cultural connotation to the idea of a champion or hero. In that time, the person that this term referred to the most was Hercules. By using this term, the preacher is declaring that Jesus is the new Hercules. Jesus is the true hero of our humanity.
Jesus didn't charge up a hill, sword in hand, shedding the blood of his enemies. He marched up a hill carrying the very cross he was to hang from, and he shed his own blood. But not for the best of humanity, but for his enemies and sinners like you and me. Your humanity needs a hero, and his name is Jesus.
Remember what you heard, the good news of Jesus, the good news that he is the champion of suffering, death, and that no matter how tough things get, Jesus is in control, crowned with glory and honor. And through your faith, you will share in this glory one day.
This coming Sunday, we'll continue our series called Matchless, the Wonder of God's Word, looking at verses 10 through 13 of Hebrews 2. And in Bible Fellowship, we'll discuss the beloved Psalm 84 together. Are you ready?
You betcha. Join us and bring a friend.